So we're here in the matter of State versus Mr. Gardner. Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So we are here on what I treated as a motion to suppress. So, hold on, there's a motion to continue. I just saw this. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor, I did just file that yesterday in anticipation of today's, I believe today's also being considered docket sounding.
Okay, so we'll talk about that later. You're talking about motion to continue the trial, not this.
Correct.
Okay, so we'll talk about that afterwards. Okay, so then the way we're gonna proceed is that the state, you have a witness here, I see, so I'm gonna have you all go first. And I'm assuming you're gonna call your witness. Then, sir, you'll have the opportunity to ask questions of the witness. When they're done presenting, it will be your opportunity to present. Are you gonna testify for yourself, or?
I wasn't planning on it. I thought that I might go first, though, since this is a hearing for my concerns.
So, I understand what you're saying, and if you want to go first, you can. Oftentimes, the meat of the issue, it's sort of a shifting burden, and where there is a facially sufficient motion to suppress, it shifts the burden to the state. So then they put on their evidence, and then you put on yours. That's just sort of the way it goes. If you want to present, what I'm hearing is you're not going to testify. So what were you anticipating presenting?
I was going to present the dash cam footage and interview Officer Folavandi.
And the what?
And I was going to present the dash cam footage as well as conduct an interview of Officer Folavandi.
Okay. And this is, are you officer?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so were you planning to present the dash cam video?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so, all right, so it sounds like you're gonna, it's sort of, okay. You're gonna have an opportunity to talk to him, and both sides are gonna have an opportunity to talk to him, all right? The order, and they're gonna present the dash cam video anyway, so I'm gonna let them go first, that's the appropriate thing under the law, and you'll have the opportunity to do what you wanted to do after they do. Doesn't really change what you can ask. That's the way it goes. So, do you have the video pre-marked?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So then, why don't you go ahead and call? Did you have any preliminary remarks?
Your Honor, I was going to ask the court to take judicial notice of the date of the arrest. May 27th, 2024 is Monday, Memorial Day, national holiday.
Okay. Is that disputed? Okay. All right, I'll take judicial notice of that. All right, so you want to call your first witness?
This state will call Officer Folavandi.
Raise your right hand to be sworn.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Hello. All right.
Good afternoon, officer. Can you please state your name and spell your last name for the record?
Good afternoon. First name Abad, last name Folavandi by spelling Foladvandi.
Where do you currently work?
I'm a police officer for City of Northport.
And what do you do for the Northport Police Department?
I'm a police officer, UAV pilot, and I'm a traffic homicide investigator for City of Northport.
How long have you worked for the City of Northport?
Approximately 8 years.
Are you assigned to any specialized unit?
Yes, ma'am. I'm assigned to traffic unit, night shift.
What kind of training have you received to be a patrol officer?
I started as a police cadet, went to the academy, approximately 770 hours of basic in academy, and I was certified, and then started the employment with City of Northport, which is I started more training with the City of Northport.
Have you received any specialized training in DUI investigations?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us about that training?
Yes, ma'am. I have over 300 hours of DUI-related training to include basic standardized field sobriety exercises certified, advanced roadside impairment detection, marijuana impairment detection, advanced marijuana impairment detection. I'm a seated battery certified, and I'm certified in the state of Florida breath test operator for the state of Florida.
Approximately how many DUIs have you investigated?
I can't give you exact number, but over 100.
I'd like to direct your attention to May 27th, 2024. Were you on patrol that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you patrolling?
The city of Northport
And what county is that in?
in Sarasota County.
While you were patrolling in the city of Northport, did you have an opportunity to come into contact with someone who later became known to you as Hayden Gardner?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us what drew your attention to Mr. Gardner?
I observed a vehicle traveling westbound on 41 when I got behind the vehicle, and then I noticed the car trying to turn right into South Sunter Boulevard from 41 that made a wide turn, appeared to making a wide turn into South Sunter Boulevard. And when I got behind the vehicle turning right, I observed the vehicle being in the left lane, which consistent with my observation earlier. I continue heading northbound behind the vehicle.
Approximately what time was it that you noticed the defendant's vehicle?
This was around 2:30 in the morning.
And can you describe in detail the driving pattern that you observed once you got behind the vehicle?
So after I turned right into South Sunter Boulevard and following the vehicle turned right, and I started following him, observing the vehicle was swerving in his lane, getting close, very close to the center dash line. At one point even he was on it, and then swerving its own lane again, going towards the fog line, and coming back again to the center dash line, and then at one point before the intersection of Sumter and Price, the vehicle crossed the solid white line.
Approximately how long did you observe the driving pattern of the defendant?
So from 41 to Price, approximately 2 miles, maybe.
Based on your experience in training, what might the swerving that you described indicate?
Well, based on my training experience, those kind of driving behavior consistent with medical emergency. It could be impairment, distracted driving, or even at that time in the morning, maybe sleeping, behind the wheel.
Did you initiate a traffic stop?
I did, ma'am.
Why did you stop the defendant?
I conducted a well-being check on the car based on my testimony that I wasn't sure if he had any medical emergency or impairment.
Did the defendant immediately pull off of the road when you initiated the traffic stop?
Yes, ma'am. He turned right into a parking lot and stopped.
And upon coming into contact with the defendant, where was he in the vehicle?
He was sitting behind the steering wheel in the driver's seat.
Officer, is your work vehicle that you were driving that evening equipped with a dash camera?
Yes, ma'am.
And was it working properly the day that you pulled Mr. Gardner over?
Yes, ma'am.
And did it capture Mr. Gardner's driving pattern?
Yes, ma'am, it did.
Is your vehicle also equipped with a camera that records inside the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am. In the back seat, have equipped with a camera as well.
And was that working properly the day you pulled Mr. Gardner over?
Yes, ma'am.
And did that camera capture Mr. Gardner's statements and behaviors inside your vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you also wear a body-worn camera while on duty?
I do, ma'am.
Were you wearing one the day that you pulled the defendant over?
Yes, ma'am.
And was that working properly?
Yes, ma'am. It was.
Did that camera capture your interactions with the defendant?
It did.
Your Honor, may the record reflect I'm going to show the defendant what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 1.
Okay. So that's
It's the CD.
which videos?
So this is all of Officer Fulabondi's videos, so it's the dash cam and the body-worn camera. I will only play, at this point, the front-facing dash cam prior to the stop.
Okay, but you're gonna introduce the,
I
all
would
of
like to
them.
introduce it.
And then in your portion, you can play any part you want, okay? Because it'll already be introduced into evidence. All right, so I'll admit it, and if do you have your computer set up there?
So I have it set up here.
That's fine, however you have it. I just wanted to make sure you were ready to play it, but, and we'll mark it when you're done.
I don't have the screens here.
We'll take care of that. Okay, so everyone should be able, I mean, it's just buzz right now, but the screen in front of you will show the video. Is that one? It's just buzz, okay.
Officer, will you please describe the driving pattern depicted in this video?
I don't need,
Okay.
it's
Did-
apparent in the video.
did
I
the-
mean, I'm not saying there is or isn't anything, but I don't need him to describe what I saw.
Yes, Your Honor. Does this video depict all of the driving pattern that you observed?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
So my dash cam, when I turn on my emergency equipment, goes back 30 seconds. So it did not pick up when he turned into Sumter. This is in the middle of the Sumter. So at that point that I turn on my dash cam, turn on my lights, it just picked up 30 seconds before that, not anything prior to that.
And again, so based on what you observed that's not on the dash cam and based on what's on the dash cam, why did you pull him over?
Like I said, due to the driving behavior that I seen, I just conducted a well-being check on the driver to make sure that he doesn't have any medical emergency, nor he's impaired. So.
Your Honor, that, would you like to, this concludes the portion regarding the stop. Would you like me to continue I have a lot of questions for the officer based on some of the other items that the defendant is asking to suppress. Would you like me to give the defendant an opportunity to question the officer based on just on the stop first? Or would you like me to continue through the investigation?
You would do everything and then he'll do everything.
Okay. Officer, when you first approached the defendant, what observations did you make?
So when I first approached him, I just want to make sure he was okay. So I asked him, is everything was okay since he swore. I noticed a strong odor of alcoholic beverage was coming from his breath. And from the car also, I see his eyes were bloodshot watery.
Did you notice any other signs of impairment other than the odor of alcohol and the bloodshot watery eyes?
Droopy eyelids, and then he was appear lethargic.
Did the defendant explain to you where he was coming from that evening?
No, ma'am, he was very evasive about that.
What do you mean by evasive?
I asked him where was he coming from, and he answered by he lives in Northport. I asked him again, that's not what I asked, where are you coming from? And he said he's going home. And at no point he answered that question.
Did you ask the defendant for his driver's license, insurance, and registration?
I did, ma'am.
Was he able to provide those items to you without any trouble?
No. He handed me his driver's license, and then I asked for other documentation for proof of insurance and the registration, but I did not get any.
Did you notice anything unusual about the way that the defendant was acting when you asked him for his documents?
He, at one point I asked him for his registration and proof of insurance, and he started looking in order to get the documentation for me. When I turned on my flashlight, that he was not, he was very, he became very belligerent at that point.
And what do you mean by belligerent? What did he do?
He put his hands up, and he just looked at me. He said something in regard of, could you turn it off, or something in that regard. I don't recall right now.
Did he ultimately give you his registration?
No, ma'am. He found it and he presented it to me. However, he held on to it, and when I was grabbing it from him, he held on to it and put pressure on it, and I had to ask him to let it go.
And did he let it go?
No, he didn't.
And going back to when you shined the flashlight, what was the defendant doing when you shined the flashlight? Where was he in the vehicle?
He was searching in the glove box, in the center console of vehicle.
Did you observe anything unusual in the defendant's truck?
When I turned on my flashlight, since I wasn't exactly, I didn't know what was he reaching for. Also, I wanted to make sure that he was able to have some light in order to find the documentation that I asked him to find. I observed the open container alcoholic beverage in the center console.
And were there any passengers in the vehicle?
No, ma'am.
Prior to exiting the vehicle, did the defendant make any admissions to you?
Could you clarify that?
While the defendant was still sitting inside his vehicle, did he make any admissions to you?
That he might have an alcoholic beverage, and he knew about the beer, that open container in the car.
At some point, did you ask the defendant to exit the vehicle?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you do that?
So when I first made contact with the driver, the odor of alcoholic beverage was coming from his breath, and his eyes were bloodshot. His very droopy eyelids. I seen the open container in the car. Also, due to his behavior, that he didn't want me to see in the center console since he was digging in the car, and he became evasive about that. And his behavior as far as the registration goes, and due to officer safety, I asked him to step out of the car.
And what happened when you asked him to exit the vehicle?
He refused.
How did he ultimately end up outside the vehicle?
Well, I had to ask him numerous times to step out of the car, and he failed to do so. Also, at the same time that, I opened the door, I asked for routine backup, waited for my backup to arrive. When the backup arrived, I grabbed his wrist and directed him out of the car.
Once he was outside of the vehicle, did you place him in handcuffs?
Yes, ma'am. I restrained him.
Why did you restrain him?
Due to his behavior earlier, his aggressive behavior, not complying with lawful commands, and especially when he was in the center console and he didn't want me to see in the center console, and he brought his hands up. So due to officer safety, I go ahead and restrained him at that point.
And did you have any issues placing him in handcuffs?
I did, ma'am.
Can you describe what issues you had?
At one point when I was putting handcuffs on him, he pulled his hand away from me.
Ultimately, were you able to safely place him in handcuffs?
I did, ma'am.
And based on your training and experiences, placing a subject who is acting in the way that you've described in handcuffs a standard procedure of the Northport Police Department?
So, based on the situation and based on the officer safety risk, yes. If I had to restrain the subject in order to make sure that, you know, the scene is safe, yes.
At any point during the stop, did you read Mr. Gardner his Miranda warning?
I did not, no.
Why not?
At that point, after this all happened, I wasn't really trying to ask him any incriminating questions, or I wasn't looking for any admission. I just asked him if he was willing to conduct the field sobriety exercises.
And was he willing to conduct the field sobriety exercises?
No, ma'am. I asked him numerous times. He refused.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would like to play Officer Fuller's body-worn camera footage. It was previously admitted in State's Exhibit 1.
Okay. All right, so,
So, man, you crossed the white line a couple of times. Everything okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Do you have the driver's license registration proof of insurance?
All of it.
Where are you coming from?
I live in Northport.
That's not what I asked. I said, where are you coming from?
I'm going home. Work.
That's not what I asked again. Where are you coming
I
from?
don't have to answer.
Just say I don't want to answer. Don't tell me you're going home. To the question that I'm not asking.
Yeah.
Do you have a registration and proof of insurance on you?
Somewhere in here, I have my proof of insurance on my phone. Can you?
No, I'm gonna do that because I don't know what you're digging into.
Officer.
I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm gonna have my lights on, and you're gonna give me whatever I ask, okay? 15, can I get a return on phone?
Why do you feel like this?
I need a registration, proof of insurance. And do you have insurance on you?
I have it on my phone. I'll
Let it go.
for you.
Let this go.
Officer,
Step out.
please.
Sir, step out of the car for me,
Why?
because I'm asking you.
No, I understand what you're asking me.
I'm gonna ask you one more time, and I'm gonna put you in handcuffs if you don't get out of the
Why
car.
are you gonna put me in handcuffs?
Because that's obstruction. I'm asking you to step out of the car. I'm asking you to step out of the car nicely. Next time, I'm not gonna be that nice. Step out of the car for me, sir. I'm completely being cordial with you.
Yeah, I
You
know
just
you are.
started completely wrong foot.
Well, you pulled me over for no reason at all.
That wasn't no reason. You crossed the white line multiple times. I was right behind you. The whole time in Sumter. Okay?
That's fair. That's fine.
You said I stopped you for no reason at all, so I said, what's the reason for a stop?
Right. Was I speeding?
Speeding is not the only infraction in the book, sir.
Officer, please, with all due respect.
Sir, step out of the car.
Why?
With all due respect. Because I'm asking you
Can I
to.
have your badge number and
Sir,
your name?
absolutely. I'm gonna give you all this stuff when
I would like to know.
when I finish my traffic stop. Okay? Just step out of the car for me for now.
Officer,
Sir,
I've asked you for your name.
I'm gonna provide all of that for you.
Okay, that's fine. I know that you will. I would like it now.
Sir,
I
I
have.
want you to step out of the car right
I know
now.
what you want,
But I'm
sir. I
asking.
know what you want.
Okay, so step out of the car nicely. You don't make it harder than it should be, man. There's nothing you
I'm
should
not
be worried
doing
about.
anything wrong with you.
I'm asking you to step out
I
of the
know
car.
that you are.
And you need to step out of the
Why
car.
do I need to?
Because I'm asking you to step out of the car.
Officer,
Sir,
just because you asked me to do something,
then you need to do.
Why?
That's a lawful request getting out of the
I'm
car.
not sure, I'm not certain
Okay,
that
that's
true.
fine. That's your interpretation. So get out of the car for now before I pull you out of the car.
Are you gonna do that?
Yeah,
Why would you do that?
because that's obstruction.
Dude, obstruction, I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to call you
I don't
dude.
care,
I just-
whatever you want to call me.
I'm not obstructing anything.
I'm just asking you to step out of the car
Why?
because I'm asking you to do so.
This is my property.
That's fine.
I'm inside my property.
And I'm asking
Don't
you
know
to step
why.
out of your property. So it's not that hard.
You're not wrong, it's not hard, I can step out easily.
Yeah, and please do that then.
Why? Simply
Because I'm
you
requesting you to do that. There's a case
No,
law
I
for it, a
understand
Supreme
that.
Court case law on it.
What's the case
When-
law?
When
Can
the,
you
when the
explain it
officer,
to me?
no, I don't have to,
No,
but I'm
you should
asking,
have to.
no, I don't have to. When I'm asking you to, when I'm asking you to get out of the car, you need to get out of the car.
Why?
Okay? Because I'm not requesting you to get out of the car.
Are we peers?
What's that?
Are we peers?
No.
What are we?
Sir, step out of the car.
Please, officer.
Sir, for the 10th time, step out of
You're
the
not
car.
wrong. You've asked me to a number of times.
Correct.
Right.
And I want you to step out of the car.
But we're peers, and you can't explain why we're not peers.
I don't know what you're saying. You don't make sense at all. Step out of the car.
No, I make sense. I make complete
Sir,
sense.
step out of the car for me.
Peers. We are peers.
Sir, step out of the car for me for the 20th time now.
No, it's not the 20th. You just said the 10th, and now it's maybe the 11th or 12th. Officer,
I'm gonna ask you one more time, then I'm gonna pull you out of the car.
I know you will.
So step out
I
of the
know
car now.
you will.
Step out of the car,
I
sir.
know that you will.
Sir, step out of the car.
Why?
Because I'm asking you to.
Now you have your partnership.
Correct.
I can't defend myself against you, and you would not even think about
Okay.
how that works.
You know how it works?
I know how it works.
Okay.
I know how it works. You pull me out of my car,
Uh-huh.
even though I've done nothing wrong. You're pulling me out of my car.
You ready? You smell of alcohol is coming from your breath while I'm talking to you. Correct. Your eyes bloodshot watery. Okay. Listen to me. You're being completely belligerent for no
I'm
reason at
not
all.
being
You're argumentative.
I am so much more coherent than you are.
Oh, okay.
It's insane.
Is it? So
You know
these
that.
reason I'm giving you, I'm asking you to
Oh
get
my
out of
gosh,
car.
bro.
And also I see,
I'm sorry,
I see an
boss.
open container in the center console. Yeah. So all this stuff that I'm explaining, that's the reason you need to step out of car. Okay. So we step out of car and we're gonna sort it
I'm
out.
not stepping out of my car.
Sir, you are stepping out of car because I'm asking you. Step out of car. Turn around.
Why are you doing that?
Stop doing that.
Why are you doing this?
Because you're being completely,
I'm not. You're making this up. I wish I had video of you.
Everything's being recorded, man.
Fine. It might be, but,
You're being detained as of right now. Yes.
you know, well, why? Why am I being detained?
Because you make me feel unsafe right now.
Is that lawful? Is that the lawful reason for detaining me?
Stand there. We have 15 over. I'm gonna have one to two.
On top of everything else that you want to while you're sitting on I am the most coherent person here, bro.
Okay, bro. Turn around. Yeah, you can.
Oh, I can now.
Yeah. Alright. So, based on all this stuff that I just explained to you, alright? And that's a knife. That's why you
Yep,
were
I have
putting
it.
your hand in your pocket. That's why I say you're making me unsafe.
Oh my gosh, Mr. Officer, sir.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead. What's up, man?
That's unbelievable. Are we being recorded or did you turn
Yeah,
it
you are.
off?
No, you're being recorded since the beginning of it. Okay?
Okay.
So here's what I'm asking now.
Yes, sir.
Based on all this stuff that I explained to you,
Yes,
as
sir.
far as the smell of alcohol is coming from your breath.
I have
your
alcohol
blood-
in my breath, no problem. Understood.
Okay. Your eyes bloodshot watery, okay?
Okay.
You see bloodshot eyes, right? Okay. So I'm not making it up, I'm making sure I'm seeing it right. I'm
do you
asking
see
if
that
you're
I wear
willing to.
glasses?
What's that?
Do you see that I wear glasses?
It does nothing to do with
No, it does. It absolutely does, because I also wear contacts. And
Hear me
I
out.
just took my contacts.
You're not my first to stop. You're not gonna be my last.
You're not wrong. I understand.
So just listen, okay? This thing could be so much easier if you just cooperate with me. You're not. From
feel-
beginning of it, you did it.
Because I was being lawful as a driver and you pulled me over for no reason.
You crossed the white line.
Does it not happen? Do people not do that?
That failure to maintain a single lane, it's a violation of a statute. Just let you know. You can get a stop.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. So you can get a stop based on that. When I made contact with you easily, you could have given me all your stuff, and instead you
I
just
tried
stuff.
to.
No, you
I
didn't.
tried to. I offered you my license. I offered you my registration.
And then
I
when I
told
asked
you,
you-
no.
Now we
Besides
passed that
my
one.
insurance, I said I had to look it up on my phone.
You passed that one. Are you willing to conduct field sobriety exercise to make sure
Of course
you're not
not.
drunk driving?
Of course not.
You're not gonna do that?
Of course not. That's my First Amendment right.
First Amendment?
Yep.
I mean, I'm thinking you sure about the first one?
Yeah, I already surrendered 2 rights.
You sure?
First Amendment, yes, sir.
You
Yes,
sure
sir.
that's not the other amendment that you were thinking of?
What other amendment?
I don't know. First Amendment is freedom of speech.
Yep, exactly.
Um,
It's my freedom association, which you violated already.
have I?
Yes, you have. You have me in handcuffs
Yeah,
or something.
because you're not cooperating.
Freedom association
No.
means the ability to not interact with anyone I do not want to interact with. You have done that, yet put me in cuffs.
Right.
Additionally,
But I asked
had
you to step out of the car multiple times and you refused, yes.
freedom of association.
That's fine.
Freedom of speech
Okay.
means I do not have to interact with you.
So you're not willing to conduct a full sobriety exercises, that's what you're saying?
Correct.
Do you understand if I decide
Nope, I
to
do
arrest
not.
you
I
at
do
this
not
point?
understand that.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, then you're gonna
No,
understand.
that's fair. You can tell me all
If
you
I-
want. It
if I-
doesn't matter to me.
if
I do
I-
not understand.
If I arrest you from this time, then not doing the field sobriety exercise is gonna be against you in court, right?
Nope, I don't understand.
That's fine, I'll just need to explain it to you. Also, you understand that if you don't do field sobriety exercises, I have to make my decision based on totality of circumstances till now.
What does that mean? Can you explain totality?
I just said the way that it is. Okay?
Officer, please, with all due respect.
Yes, sir.
You are saying things that you don't even know what they mean.
Okay. So
You do know that. Do you know that?
Do you have any other
Please,
questions?
Officer, please, I would love to push my glasses up onto my face. Because they're sliding off my nose, and I don't like that.
I can
Please,
uncuff
officer.
you, but you need to promise me that you gotta stop reaching around and cooperate. Is that
What do you
something
mean
can
reaching
do?
around?
I don't want you to put your hands in your pocket.
I won't put my hands in my pocket. I have nothing to take out of my pockets. You took my knife.
But earlier you did, so
No,
that's
no,
why
no,
I'm
no,
trying to bring it
officer,
up.
please.
I'm not gonna argue with
Okay,
you over
fine,
that.
fine, fine.
And I want you to cooperate.
I will cooperate. You want to take these cuffs off of me? I have nothing in my pockets to use against you. Do you want to check my pockets?
No, I have no desire to do that.
Okay. I just want to go home.
Okay, well, I have to make sure you're safe before I can send you home.
Okay. How do you do that?
Well, I'll make that decision if you give me a little bit. I have to work on that. Because
Okay.
you're not doing the field sobriety exercise, that's for sure, that's what I'm getting out of you. So obviously I cannot go based on that, so I have to find another way.
Do I seem to be speaking clearly?
Not really, no,
No?
no.
Okay.
You're very argumentative, which is very consistent with someone under influence of alcohol.
I'm an anarchist, sir. I tend to get argumentative with authority.
Correct. And
But I've also been very polite with you. Even if you don't like the things that I have to say.
Well,
Am I wrong?
No,
No, I'm not wrong. Fair.
That's,
Thank you. I appreciate you acknowledging that.
you see how you are? That's exactly the way that someone under influence of alcohol would usually act.
That might be the case.
So,
You're not.
that's the case.
You might be wrong.
Uh,
Either way.
Objective or subjective, we're not gonna, debate over that. So, with that being said, for now,
I would really just like to go home, officer.
we pass that point, okay? So you're not conducting field sobriety exercises? Okay. All right, well,
And you may not search my car.
well, I'm gonna take that, bottle out of your car because that's,
Can I give that to you myself?
no,
Why?
because right now you're being handcuffed.
You're not allowed in my vehicle.
Well,
I just want to hand you
we reach,
the open.
no, I'm not comfortable with you reaching inside your truck any longer.
That's fair. I understand that because you just tossed my knife in there. You know where my knife is? I will hand you the can.
That's fine, I
and
don't
you-
know, maybe
Officer.
something else is in the car that
There's
I'm not
nothing,
sure.
no, there is something else in the car, and I'm not going to access it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, that's fine.
So-
Look, what can I do? I'm being honest with you.
You
I'm
shouldn't
the
do
most
anything.
honest motherfucker I know. My friends,
You're excused. Just have a seat on the bumper for a second, I'll be right back with you. Have a seat on the bumper, sir. Okay, so, what's up?
I'm waiting here for you.
What's that?
I'm waiting to hear from you.
Okay.
I'm listening.
You are. So, you said you had alcoholic beverage tonight, right? I stopped you because you crossed white line
Okay.
a couple of times, right? The last one,
No, you said that.
I stopped-
I don't know what I did. You said that.
yeah, that's what I said. I started from Sumter, 41.
Okay.
I'm following you, and, okay, and over here, finally, like, after a couple of times I see you doing that, I was like, all right, well, benefit of the doubt, people are just, sometimes on their phone, or they don't pay attention to the road. And then over here, when you're passing Sumter, that was completely like, see you again, got out of, so, and then you came back on the line again. So that's when I stopped you, when you were trying to turn into a gas station, I believe, right?
No, I had no plans to go any place but Waffle House.
Yeah, you were trying to turn right, and then I stopped you, and then you came here.
I don't know exactly where Waffle House is.
This is
Yes, sir, officer, I understand.
Mhm.
I know that I'm in the vicinity of Waffle House.
Correct. Okay, let's just see it.
Correct.
Yes.
I don't know exactly where to turn for Waffle House.
Oh, so you were looking for it to find it?
Yeah.
That's what it was?
Correct.
Okay.
And then when you turned your lights on, I knew that I needed to find a decent place for us to meet.
Trust that, okay. And then when I made contact with you, that's why my light shined, and I see that container, it's open.
Fair.
It's open,
Yeah.
and I see in the middle,
It doesn't
Still
matter.
there.
It doesn't matter.
It's still there.
It's still there.
And I asked you, where are you coming from? You said you're going home.
Yeah. Correct.
That's not what I asked. I asked, hey, where where you're coming from.
Yeah.
And you're still not telling me where you're coming from. I'm asking you to, I asked you multiple times to step out of the car, which you refused.
I asked you why I needed to.
Because
And all
the
you
law
said
enforcement
was
officer
because-
asked you to step out of the car. As easy as that.
Right, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
And you
not
refuse to steal,
officer.
right?
With
Asking.
all due respect.
Yes, sir.
We're peers.
I don't, do you understand what he says by that?
Yeah,
What
you should. You should understand
No,
that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm not grasping what you're trying to get at when you say number of peers.
See? It's not,
Just because you don't understand,
make us understand it.
I can't. You refuse to.
Okay, well, if you don't want me down.
Officer
then
Opatz has made it clear that his badge determines that we're not peers. I am making
I'm not sure exactly what he means by that again.
officer.
Sir,
Can I have your name again? Officer.
Full Vandy, 369. Okay.
Can you repeat your last name?
FOLADVAND by spelling. 369 Lane.
I want to say it.
Just call me Bo. What's up?
I want to lean back against the car again because I know I stood up against it and I saw your posturing.
My hands are over
No,
there.
no, no.
As relaxed as it gets right now.
Yes, sir, officer. You can be relaxed. My point is, when I raised up from my truck,
Mm-hmm.
you postured.
Okay.
You just prepared yourself. It's not a big deal.
Do you
sir.
want to
Officer.
explain to me? Do you want to explain to me what you mean by peers?
Yes,
Okay.
peer is we are equals.
We are.
Okay.
Okay, well, you could have said that from the beginning, and we are. There's no difference, but I have a job to do, and that's what I'm doing.
But your job suggests that we're not peers.
No, that's not true.
No, you know it's true.
Okay, well,
Because
Obviously,
a peer does not put.
you know drinking and driving is against the law,
Do I?
right? Yeah.
Oh,
It's not?
I don't know. Maybe. It might
DUI?
be. It could be.
360, 193,
I don't know the
subsection 1.
numbers.
That's drinking under influence of alcohol.
I have an open container in my vehicle.
And you consumed alcohol earlier.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm acknowledging that. That doesn't mean I'm drinking and
But
driving.
by not conducting full sobriety exercises, it makes it hard for me. I have to, that's, you taking
I
pretty
know-
much
I
that
know how
away
it
from
works,
me.
sir. I know how
So
it
I have
works.
to make my decision based on totality of circumstances.
I understand how it works.
Okay, so what's,
Do I not seem as coherent as you?
not really, no.
Why?
You just, from beginning of it, you're very argumentative,
I
resistant.
explained
Mhm.
to you my position.
You explained to me.
I'm not argumentative for any other reason that I don't believe in authority.
So, and you said you're not willing to conduct the full sobriety exercises.
I did say that.
And what I'm saying is, unfortunately, I have to make my decision based on totality of circumstances.
And can you explain totality of circumstance to me,
Driving
please?
pattern, your speech, your.
What about my speech?
your-
What about my conduct
your-
as indicated to you?
Your
that
your
I'm not doing
behavior, your bloodshot water in your eyes, a smell of alcoholic beverage coming from you, by you saying you had an alcohol beverage, and seeing the open container inside your car. So far, this is, those are stuff that I gathered out of this. So those are all the totality of stuff. Then I have to make my decision based on
So,
those,
you
without
say-
the field sobriety exercise.
Officer, certainly have some evidence against me.
They're not evidence, they're circumstances that the totality of them is gonna finish my investigation,
So,
right?
do I seem intoxicated? Do I seem inebriated? Do I seem
You don't
like-
look sober either.
Okay, but my point is, if you want
if this is a matter of subjective interpretation from you, do I not seem like I'm with it?
Do you not see you're with it?
Yeah.
So there are, if you're asking if you're shit-faced drunk, that's what you're
That's
asking?
not what I'm
No, you're
asking.
not.
No, I'm not
So
asking.
there are different type of DUIs out there. You can't be, not everybody's like passed out drunk. There's always in the middle too,
Officer.
so. Drinking under influence
I don't.
is not just passed out drunk, so.
I understand.
I just wanna,
It just seems like you're trying
Remind me.
to polarize the situation and make it as if it's simple. What are you doing? What are you clicking?
don't worry about
Are you
it.
okay?
I'm fine. I'm just listening to you. I'm trying to figure out
No,
exactly
I
what you're saying.
understand, but like, officer, I don't know that I'm autistic. I'm in the process of being diagnosed as autistic. So when you do things
Oh, you're
that.
saying you're in process of,
Correct. It doesn't matter. My point is, I have autistic tendencies.
Oh, you do?
And when you do something that stands out, I can't help but notice it. I just can't. Okay? So when you're doing that, it's a distraction for me. And all I'm trying to say to you is, with respect to your inquiries, is that there are a number of things that you do have right. And that's all I can say to you.
that's it?
You're trying to go to Waffle House and have some food.
Well, we have to finish our business here before we can go,
What do
right?
I need to tell you? What do you need from me?
Well, first I asked you if you were willing to conduct
I am
physical
not. I told you I'm not. I gave you my license. I gave you my registration. I did
After
not.
50 times
No,
I asked you this about
no,
a car.
officer, that is not correct. With all due respect, that is not correct. I told you that I had to find my insurance on my phone. I gave you my license promptly. I gave you my registration promptly. I have a mosquito on my forehead because I feel something
don't.
on my forehead.
No,
There's an itch. I don't mind if
Good?
you, yes, thank
Let me
you.
put the glasses
Yes,
here.
your office, your
Officer Opats.
OPADS, your comrade, however you would describe such a person, I don't know.
What you said? I can't, I
I
didn't
said
understand you.
your comrade,
Uh-huh.
however you would describe such a person, your
My partner.
Your partner. Yeah, partner's perfect.
Yeah, perfect.
He fixed them for me earlier.
Oh, nice. He's a
I
nice
appreciated that. No, it was like, he was great about it.
Okay. So, where we at with the, so you still are sticking with you're not going to conduct a closer ride, correct? Correct. And any reason for it, just particularly? You have a right to refuse, but any reason why?
First thing on the right to refuse.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can conflate them if you want.
I just want you to understand that driving is not a right, it's a privilege. You have a privilege to drive, right?
I don't know.
In the state of
I don't know
Florida.
about that.
Yeah, so it's not a right, it's a
No, I
privilege.
mean, I know that you think that and you believe that. I'm
Well,
not sure that that's
no,
actually
if-
true.
If you read the bottom of your,
Yeah, I know.
You signed that, so-
I did sign that.
You signed it, yeah.
I'm a fool for doing so.
you signed it, so you already told them that, yes, I agree.
I waived the right
Correct.
to travel. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know, if you're a sovereign citizen, that's different.
No, I'm not saying I'm a sovereign citizen at all.
Well, you have a tendency of it, so let's just put it that way.
Oh, well, no, there's a difference between what I'm saying, because a sovereign citizen is not a real thing.
Potato, whatever, tomato.
Okay, fair, officer.
Subjective, objective.
Officer.
We're not gonna play with
Again,
words.
with all due respect, I just want to be done with this, and however that happens, can we just be done?
Can we just be done?
Yeah, can we just be done with this? You know, I don't know whether your decision is going to be to take me away from this place
Mhm.
or leave me alone. I just want the decision to be made. Because again, you have me bound.
Well,
You have me bound.
because of
I don't
your
have a choice.
behavior earlier,
It doesn't matter why.
it does matter.
No,
It's a
officer,
domino effect.
officer, please. Again, with all due respect,
Okay.
you did not have to pull me over. You did not have to put me in cuffs.
Why not? Just tell me why I didn't.
It doesn't
have to pull
matter.
you
It
over.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have a choice. That's the
I
only.
observed you not able to drive in single
Officer,
lane,
please.
right? That's why I stopped.
That's what you're telling me. That's what you're telling me. I don't know that to be true. That's simply what you're telling me. That is your subjective interpretation of the situation. As far as I'm concerned, I was doing fine. Now, we don't have to argue about that. We don't have to get into that.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is, I just want this situation to be done.
Okay.
And if done means you hauling me off, then that's what it means. If done means you just saying, hey, I think you're good here, please be careful, then that's what it means. I just want to be done.
Hayden, what I'm worried about at this point, when you saying I'm not doing the field sobriety exercises, right? Well, you taking away that exercises that I can determine the level of your impairment,
Okay.
okay?
I understand.
So with that,
But
being
you don't-
doing
you
that,
don't-
you are not doing yourself a favor. You're
Look.
making a,
Officer, with all due respect, I cannot recite the alphabet backwards.
I'm not, that's not the one that I'm
Okay.
doing. Field sobriety is eyes, walk and turn, and one leg to stand. Those are standardized field sobriety. I'm not asking people to do A to C.
Do you think that I'm coherent with the way that I'm speaking to you?
I see a lot of people talking better than you,
Fine, no, you don't.
and they were more. You think this is my first night doing DUIs, but it's not.
I'm sure it's not.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure that it's not.
Trust me, I have a little bit of DUI experience. So.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure that you do.
Yeah. So, again, with that being said, this is the last time I'm gonna ask you, so you're not gonna do field sobriety exercises?
And if I refuse, then what happens?
I'm gonna make my decision.
I need to know what your decision is.
My decision is gonna be based on whatever, all the stuff that I have.
Officer, please. I would really love.
Well, what's that gonna change?
I would like to know
Mm-hmm.
what your decision will be based on my refusal.
It's not based on your refusal, it's based on
Please,
totality of circumstances.
Officer, please, I have a,
Yes, sir.
I deal
Mm-hmm.
with a woman who does the same things you're doing.
What does she do?
She evades my questions. She evades.
I'm not evading,
No,
I'm
no,
saying
you
I gotta make
are.
my-
No, you are.
Based on totality of
Officer,
circumstances.
please. Please.
What's gonna make any difference? Okay, just say arrest or release. What, is that gonna change anything for you?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, well, I'm
Because
asking
I
you, are
don't
you
know what
gonna,
you're gonna tell me, sir.
are you gonna do field sobriety? You said no.
No, I said, oh, no, initially I did say no. And at this point, I'm asking you, what are
don't
the
do it.
repercussions of me doing it, not doing it are?
That if you get arrested, it's gonna be against you in court of law.
Right, I understand, but why would I be arrested?
Because then I have to make my decision based on totality of circumstances. You're taking the sobriety away from me in order to,
No, you just also said that your totality of circumstances based on your opinion. Can you please push my glasses back up?
sure, I can do that, sir. So, my decision is based on my professional experience and totality of circumstances, yes.
Yes, what?
To making my decision. if you don't give me the
Decision
field sobriety
from what,
exercises. Field sobriety exercises give me clues to see if you have enough clues in order to be under the influence of. Some people are just showing all the impairment signs, but when they do sobriety, you don't see that many clues. Then you're like, all right, they're good or they're not. That's what sobriety is. Sobriety is not pass and fail. A lot of people think that. That's completely wrong. So that's exactly what I
Can you
asked.
explain sobriety to me then?
Field sobriety exercises? Yeah.
No, you said it's not pass or fail.
Yeah, they're not.
So what is it?
There are series of exercises which is determine they show me clues of impairment. So if there are multiple clues in that exercises, I'm making my decision, okay, he has like 4 clues or 5 clues or 6 clues, okay? Then I'm gonna say, okay, well, he's under influence of alcohol. And if they don't show me that many, they don't show me that many things, then they're good. Then I'm gonna say, well, he's not under influence. He had a couple of drinks, but he's not under influence.
So, prior to engaging in the exercises that you want me to undertake.
I don't want you to do anything. I'm
Okay.
asking you to.
No, I know that you're asking me to. And my point is, you're making an assessment on my behavior,
Your
yes?
driving pattern,
No,
your
forget about my,
behavior,
no.
your
Forget
bloodshot
about-
lottery.
Please, officer.
your alcohol coming from emitting from your breath,
Sure.
the open
Okay,
container
fine.
in your car,
Okay.
all those stuff.
Except you're failing to acknowledge our interaction.
I'm not failing anything.
You are.
Okay.
Because everything that you've mentioned has been absent the way we have conducted ourselves.
Okay. What are we doing now? Are we gonna do this sobriety or not?
I've already told you. I
So
want
that's
to
no.
know why.
I just
I
told
need
you. That show me clues that if you're impaired or not, then
I
good to go.
have shown you clues.
No, you haven't. That's one of the ways that I can determine as well. Be honest with you, man. I'm not sugarcoating yet. I'm being 100% with you right
No, I know that you are.
now. Okay?
Except
I can't.
I have done nothing but convey to you.
I can't explain more than what I already have. So it's something that you have to make that decision. It's that time. So I don't know what else to tell you.
So, what do I have to do?
As far as what?
You're asking me if I will conduct a field sobriety
Yeah,
test.
so I'm gonna show you.
No, I want to
I'm gonna explain
know.
it. I'm gonna show you. Then I'm gonna ask you to do it.
You're gonna tell me or
Mhm.
ask me
Mhm.
or explain to me
Mhm.
what it is that I have to do
Mhm.
before I agree to it.
Field sobriety exercise. Have you seen it in
Yes.
the video? The check for nystagmus, check the eyes,
Maybe.
walk in
I
turn.
I would like a more complete explanation.
That happens after I'll go over there and you're doing
No,
it.
sir, officer.
So no.
I want to know
Mhm.
what you're gonna do. You've told me that you're gonna follow my eyes.
So you're not going to conduct it then? That's what I'm getting. Because the only way that I'm gonna explain it to you is when we are
I'm
doing it
not
together.
agreeing to you to do anything
Okay, perfect.
until you tell me what I'm agreeing to.
You're agreeing to nothing.
No. You want me
But
to
what?
conduct a field sobriety test.
Mhm.
That is a vague explanation.
Okay.
Yes? You agree?
No.
So, okay, then if it's not, please explain to me what exercise it is.
Horizontal gaze and nystagmus, walk and turn, one leg
Hold
stand.
on, can you please?
I just explained it.
You did. That being said, you said it really fast. And I was,
Horizontal gaze and nystagmus.
okay, can you,
walk and turn,
no,
and
stop,
one leg
stop,
stand.
stop.
You're not doing that. Are you gonna do it or not?
want to know what I'm
Are
doing.
you doing it or not?
I want to.
You're under arrest for DUI, sir. Let's go.
My door is open. My car is on.
I know.
You already argued it's gonna focus, stick us, hurt us.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that, sir. I can do that. 115 on
How am I under arrest for DUI?
I just explained it to you.
No, you didn't, sir.
I'm gonna have a white male 1050. I'm gonna put this in there, your comments.
You did not explain it to me.
I'm gonna make that decision if I'm gonna charge you with obstruction as well or not, so. Keep your hands up. I'm gonna actually put another cuff for you, man.
I'm sorry?
I don't want you to hurt your hands, so.
You still haven't explained to me what I'm under arrest for. You said it. What am I supposed to do about my vehicle?
I'll let you know.
No, that's not okay with me. That's my property.
I get it.
That's mine.
You want me to it?
I'm sorry?
You want me to it?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Tow your car?
No. I want it left alone, and I want no one to go in.
Okay, well. Unfortunately, at this point, you are under arrest, so you don't make that decision.
But why?
Have a seat in the car, sir.
I will. I would like to know why I'm under arrest.
I already explained it to you.
No, you didn't. You told me something. Doesn't mean you're correct.
You're under arrest for DUI.
For what?
Just go to touch too. With an anger, IPA. It's almost empty. Okay. Let me ask him if he has any firearm in there, because that's what he said, right?
He might have been referring to that second knife on the cup holder there.
Let me ask him. Want to just leave it here, or do you want to talk?
It's up to you, I'll do the motion.
Hey, Hayden, do you have a firearm in the car? Huh?
I'm not answering that.
Well, I just want to know if I have to tow it and I have to leave it here. Just trying to help you with
It needs
this.
to be left here.
What's that?
It needs to be left.
Well, do you want to let me know?
It needs to be left here.
Do you want to let me know if there's a firearm in there or not?
It needs to be left here.
You don't want to help me with
Officer,
that?
please.
You don't want to help
My
me with
goodness,
that?
you're arresting me for something that you do not have.
I just wanna watch the first couple of minutes again, okay?
So, man, you crossed the white line a couple of times. Everything okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah? Do you have a driver's license, registration, proof of insurance?
All of it.
Where you coming from?
I live in North Park.
That's not what I asked. I said, where are you coming from?
I'm going home. Work.
That's not what I asked again. Where are you coming
I
from?
don't have to answer.
Just say I don't want to answer. Don't tell me you're going home. To the question that I'm not asking.
Fair.
Do you have a registration and proof of insurance on you?
Somewhere in here, I have my proof of insurance on my phone. Can you?
No, I'm gonna do that because I don't know what you're digging into.
Officer.
I'm not gonna listen to you. I'm gonna have my lights on and you're gonna give me whatever I ask, okay? Yeah, 15, can I get a return info?
Why do you feel like this?
I need a registration and proof of insurance. Do you have insurance on you?
I have it on my phone. I'll
Let it go. Let this go.
Officer,
Step back.
please.
Okay.
Officer, at some point during the investigation, you observed an open container in the defendant's vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
How did you identify that it was a container of alcohol?
I've seen those cans before based on my training experience. Also, I test them after the arrest of Mr. Hayden.
What did you do with the container in this case?
I took a photo of it.
Here, I'm showing Mr. Gardner what's been pre-marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 3. May you approach the witness?
Yes.
I'm showing the witness what's been pre-marked for identification purposes as State's Exhibit 3. Officer, do you recognize that?
I do.
What is it?
That's the beer can that was in the center console.
And how do you recognize that photo?
I took a photo of it.
Is this photo a true and accurate representation of the photo that you took on May 27,
Yes,
2024?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the state requests what has been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 3 be entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 3.
This is the photo, I don't see it. Okay, is there any objection to me entering this bill?
I object.
Okay.
It's simply a picture.
Okay, so. Can you clarify at what point this was taken?
Yes. Officer, when did you take this photo?
After I arrested Mr. Gardner.
Furthermore, the video shows that he said bottle, that he saw a bottle.
So, at this point, the question is whether there's sufficient evidence to take it or sufficient information to take it into evidence. So, the way to get something in evidence, like the photo, is to say, is this a fair and accurate representation of something that you saw? Okay, did you take this photo? It doesn't mean that the fact finder, me in this situation, has to believe it, okay? Or every piece of evidence is subject to me giving it weight. Does that make sense? So the fact that it's coming into evidence, which it's sufficient under the rule, I will listen to your arguments and I will give it the weight I think it is appropriate to receive. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay, I mean, I know that.
I mean, it's just a picture.
It is just a picture, and so this doesn't prove or disprove very much, right? It's a picture that he took after the fact, and I'm gonna hear your comments about it in a minute. But it's appropriate to be brought into to be entered into evidence just like the testimony, so.
I mean, there is a significant amount of time between the time I was pulled from the vehicle and the time that picture was taken. And it doesn't look like Officer Volavandi used gloves to take it out.
Right,
So there could be various prints on that can,
Okay, so.
some of which may not even be mine.
So what I'm saying is, it's in evidence, and I may give it zero weight. I may not consider it at all. I may consider it. And
Okay.
I'm gonna wait till I hear everything, including what you have to say. Okay? All right.
And there will be time for me to do
Yes,
all of
you're
this,
gonna have
right?
plenty- We're here here till
Because you allotted 2 hours.
at least 4 at this point. So I'm gonna listen to everyone in full, okay? And if for some reason, I can't go past 4:30, but if for some reason we need more time, I will give everyone all the time they need, okay? All right, go ahead.
Officer, how full was the container?
Almost empty.
Do you recall the alcohol content that was listed on the beverage?
I believe 7%. Took a picture of this one.
So you photographed the container, what did you do with it next?
I put it in the bed of the truck.
And is that a standard procedure for Northport Police to just photograph the container?
Yes, ma'am. As far as just taking a photo of it, I'm not sure exactly.
Yes, is it standard for you, would it be standard for you to do anything other than what you did with the container that day?
No, ma'am.
So you followed the standard procedure for documenting an open container in a vehicle?
That's the usual procedure that officers, evidence of alcoholic beverage in the car, just take a picture of it.
Was there anything about the container that led you to believe it might not actually contain alcohol?
No, ma'am. I smelled it and then empty it, so.
Was there anything about the container that led you to believe it might not belong to the defendant?
No, ma'am. It was within reach of the driver, and he knew about it, so.
At the conclusion of your investigation, did you arrested Mr. Gardner? We just watched that, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did you place him?
Back seat of my car.
And while in the back seat of your car, did he make statements to you?
Well, he was, are you talking about right after the arrest, or because he was in back seat until I got to the jail?
Okay, so did you drive him to the jail?
Yes, ma'am.
While you were transporting him to the jail, did he make statements to you?
We conversate, yes.
And were those statements captured on the in-car vehicle camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would ask to play the interior vehicle camera, which was previously appended.
Any objection to, actually, they've already been admitted.
I mean, I could object to everything after he opens my car door.
I agree, you could object to all that. It doesn't, I mean, we've already seen the body cam footage. What I'm saying is you can object to anything, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna grant it. Are you objecting to me reviewing the transport video?
I'll object to it.
Okay, because, all right, I thought we did sort of admit everything, but okay. Why would this be admissible?
Your Honor, so, part of the motion to suppress is the independent statements. The defendant did make statements while in the transport to the jail. Those statements,
But he was already under arrest.
he was under arrest, Your Honor. So if you'd like, I can make the argument for why they would be admissible without the Miranda warning. But essentially, those statements were, some of them I would concede would not be admissible at a trial. However, some of the statements were freely and voluntarily spontaneous statements. They were not in response to questioning. Miranda requires both that it was subject to, while the defendant was in custody, and subject to interrogation.
So I can understand in a trial why that may be admissible because you're trying to show impairment. But how is that relevant to whether the arrest was?
Yeah, it's not for that purpose, Your Honor. It was only because the defendant was asking to suppress all of his statements for lack of Miranda warning. So I wanted the court to have an opportunity to review all of the statements in order to make a determination about which statements were subject to Miranda and which ones were not.
Okay.
So if you'd like, that's what I was saying, if you wanted to make a ruling on the other issues prior to reviewing that, yes, Your Honor.
Let me do that. I understand where you're going now. Okay. So then, so I'm going to reserve on that right now, because I think, and I understand what Ms. Eastman was saying now, that before we get to that issue, which maybe we don't get to, maybe, we have to determine your arguments about the stop and the arrest, the validity of those things. So we'll get through those, and then if need be, we'll come back, okay?
Yes.
So, are you ready to go forward, or does everyone need a 5-minute break?
I'll take 5.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back.
Yes, ma'am. How you doing, officer?
Good afternoon, sir.
So, can you again state your name, badge number, and position for the court, please?
First name, Mabad Fuladvandi, Foladvandi. My badge number is 369.
And that's with the Northport Police Department?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of things as far as like statements that you made in your earlier testimony with respect to, some of which was with respect to the video. You said you noticed that I made a wide turn off of 41 onto South Sumter Boulevard. If I was turning into the left lane, that would just naturally be a wide turn, correct?
You were turning right though.
Turning right from 41
Correct.
northbound onto South Sumter. And it's a 2-lane road.
Yes.
So if I turned onto that road and into the left lane, that would just naturally be a wide turn.
It would be.
Okay. And so another thing that you said too was that your dash cam footage starts 30 seconds, like it's cut off 30 seconds before your lights come on. When I was watching that, I noticed like that was about 60 seconds, just shy of 60 seconds worth of footage. So is that accurate? Is it 30 seconds? Is it 60? Is it somewhere in between?
So it's 30 seconds before the lights come on.
Right.
It's muted and then start with the sounds on.
Okay. And then also too, I noticed when you shined your light into the cabin of my truck, which in retrospect I understand the reasoning for doing so.
Yes, sir.
I definitely recognize that that is for your safety. And you know, I held my hand up simply because it was bright, but you said I didn't want you to see into my middle console. What evidence do you have that I just didn't want you to see in my middle console?
I wasn't sure exactly what you reaching for. Also, there was a firearm was found in the car as well. So.
Right, but my point is, you said unequivocally that I did not want you to see into my middle console. How do you prove that? Like, what kind of statement is that?
So based on my doing traffic stops, usually people say, hey, now I'm going to reach, or hey, I have a gun in there. I just want to let you know, you just reached for the center console. I wasn't sure exactly what you're reaching for. Also, I was going to provide you with a little bit of light as well to see what you're looking for. But as fast as you go to the center console, I was afraid for officer safety, therefore and then you turn around and did that. So it gave me a reason to believe that there's something that you don't want me to see.
Did you, because obviously you went through my truck afterwards, did you find anything in my middle console that was concerning?
There was a knife and a firearm.
In the middle console?
There was a knife in the center console.
No, there was not.
There was a red knife that you can see. It was in a cup holder.
In the cup holder, that's
Correct.
not the middle console.
Well, it's around that area.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
but again, not the middle console. When I asked you if I was speaking clearly, your response was that I was argumentative. That's not an answer. And I'd say that the video most definitely shows that I was speaking at least as clearly as you were. Wouldn't you say that? I mean, there are a number of words you fumbled yourself.
So the question is, were you speaking at least as clearly as he was? That's the question. So.
And that, well, let's start there.
You were argumentative.
That's not the answer I'm looking for, officer. I can be argumentative and still be speaking clearly. Agreed?
Some of your statement didn't make sense to me, if that's what you're looking
Like
for.
when I asked you if we were peers?
Those or some other irrelevant statements that you made.
Have you looked into what a peer is?
No, sir.
No. So are you and Officer Opat's peers?
Objection relevance.
Were you and officers?
Is Officer Folawandi
Uh-huh.
and Officer Opat's, are they peers?
Okay, I'll allow it.
Could you explain to me what do you mean by peers? I still do.
Well, from my perspective,
Yes, sir.
we're all peers.
I just
But I'm
want.
trying to understand what your understanding, what your definition of peer is.
If you mean we are equal or human, yes, we are.
Okay.
We're all the same.
And I said this earlier, but after you opened my car door,
Yes, sir.
that you said you noticed an open container. You later labeled that open container as a bottle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna repeat some of the same questions that Prosecutor Eastman said, just for purposes of being on the record.
Yes, sir.
You said you've been employed by the Northport Police Department for 8 years, is that correct?
Approximately.
Approximately 8 years. And on the early morning hours of May 27th, 2024, at approximately 2:30, you were on duty at that time, correct?
I was, sir.
Okay. And did you in fact initiate a stop on an automobile I was traveling in on that date and time?
I did, sir.
Okay. According to your written report, you allege that I crossed the right lane line and was observed driving between two lanes.
Objection, facts, not evidence. The written report is not evidence, Your Honor.
I think he did say that during the video. I heard him.
Okay.
So it was in the video.
Based on the testimony,
Yeah.
the video.
Mhm. Okay, so,
Can I submit his report?
no, you can
At the
ask the
moment?
question. I'm overruling the objection, but can you re-ask it?
I can re-ask it, but in light of the fact that it is not currently in evidence, can I admit the written report to evidence?
No, so that is hearsay. There are circumstances where it could be admitted. We're not really in that scenario right now.
So would you say that his entire report is hearsay?
So, yes.
Okay.
But there are exceptions to that under certain scenarios. We haven't, like I said, gotten to that point because he's here to testify live. We're not gonna use that unless there's a reason to. Usually impeachment purposes is a reason.
Okay.
So as long as he's testifying, but you can ask the question that you were just going to ask.
In its
which was
entirety?
About you asked about the swerving in the white line. So that question, you can just restate it, because I don't remember exactly what you said, but I know that that was raised in the video. Her objection was facts, not in evidence, but it is in evidence. So I'm overruling her objection, you can ask it, but I can't remember the exact form of it.
It cannot be in the exact form that I have it, that I said it momentarily.
Just say it what you said before.
According to your written report, you allege that I crossed the right lane line and was driving between two lanes which purportedly justified your traffic stop.
Okay.
Is that correct?
So, why don't you ask him what he observed that night? And then if it's something different, then you can use that document. Oh, and in terms of the swerving and the white lines.
Okay.
You did discuss it briefly, but if you want to explore that more, that would be helpful.
So, when I crossed the right lane line at the intersection of Sumter and Price,
Yes, sir.
was that the only time that I perhaps fully crossed a lane line? In not changing lanes? Like if I was just traveling in that direction, was that the only time I crossed?
As far as the video goes,
Okay.
that was the, and then one time you were on the, driving on a center dash line, so you
Were
were
you talking about in
driving
the
on.
video?
Correct.
Would you, do you recall at that point where I was touching the center lane, that there were cones right on the right-hand lane line?
Past the line,
Well,
yes.
enough, like it's enough to alert a driver to, and knowing that you don't want to hit it, right? Like, let's stay left here. All right, so which statute would you say constituted what constituted a when I crossed the lane line? What statute did I violate?
So, if you're asking for a reason for a stop, but just based on everything that I seen till that moment, I stopped your car to make sure to check on you for your well-being.
So you did not observe any violation?
Well, the violation would be when you turn to Sumter and you were in the left lane, turning using a wide turn, that would be a violation.
Even though it's an inconsequential maneuver?
Well, that's a 2-lane, so when you're turning right, that's an improper turn.
But is that always applicable? That you always turn into the near lane?
You're supposed to, and at that time of night, there was no car that's approaching, so you're supposed to turn right, the most clear to the right curb.
So do you know what the statute regarding that says
Not on-
specifically?
Not on top of my head, but I know
Okay,
there was a law.
all right. So you acknowledge that I did not violate statute? So you didn't issue me a citation for that?
I didn't issue a citation for anything.
Right, I understand. That's what I'm saying. You did not issue a citation for an improper turn. You didn't issue a citation for a lane violation, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Nor for open container.
All right, well, can we visit the lane violation statute? Even though I was not cited for it?
Sure.
Okay, so this is Florida statute, section 316.089, subsection 1, which states, a vehicle shall be driven as nearly as practicable entirely within a single lane and shall not be moved from such lane until the driver has first ascertained that such movement can be made with safety. Now, I didn't look up what the statute was for an improper turn, but I would be willing to bet that there is a safety clause involved in that too. What do you think? Do you know the statute? Because I'd like to explore that with you if we could.
I have no objection on that.
You have no what?
No objection on that if you want to look into the statute. So.
Okay, sure.
Once you find it, I can put it on the screen so everyone can see it. I have to let me know the specific statute you want me to look at.
I don't suppose you know the statute number.
I'm sorry, was there a light at this intersection?
It was a green light.
It was, so it
But
wasn't
yes,
stop.
it's a light.
Okay, I don't remember statute numbers, but. Okay, hold on. Does 3.16.12 foot? Required position and method of turning an intersection statute, does that sound right?
It says that when you turn to the most
The
closest
closest
to the
one?
curb. Yes.
I'm just wondering what the actual
Yes.
is.
So
Do
can I-
you know which one it is?
I have to go.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I think this is it, hold on. Is that it, right there? That's the one you were thinking of? Okay, so you want to talk about that one? Is that the one you want to talk about?
I suppose that would be the one.
Okay.
So it would seem that as far as that statute is concerned, Officer Folovandi is correct. There is no safety clause there. However, that being said, I was not issued a citation for that, correct?
Sir, I did not stop you based on just one violation itself. So it was all this stuff. I just wanted to make sure that you were good to drive.
I
As far
understand.
as
That's not the
well-being.
question I asked you. If you could just answer the questions as I asked them,
Yes, sir.
that would be fantastic. So, with respect to the video that's available to us,
Yes, sir.
that is the relevant section of Sumter.
South Sumter, yes, sir.
Okay. Given that the Northport Police Department is located on Sumter Boulevard, you're pretty familiar with that stretch of roadway, correct?
North Sumter Boulevard, yes, sir.
And in your report, you noted that you began following not just the report, but in your statements here today, that you were basically behind me from the intersection of Tamiami Trail and Sumter until you lit me up at West Price and Sumter,
I was heading
westbound.
westbound on 41.
Correct.
And you were a mile or half a mile before that intersection that I observed your car.
So you were behind me a mile before the intersection?
I was coming from Sumter Crossing, going towards the Sumter, and then I see your car, and then I was behind you.
But my question is, you were behind me for a mile on 41 Tamiami Trail, a mile before the intersection?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm
I
just
see
asking
you in that
clarification.
intersection, and then I observe you turning right.
Okay. And I believe you said that you thought it was about 2 miles from that intersection to West Price
Approximately.
Boulevard. It's 2.5.
Okay.
So when you observed me cross the lane line at West Price,
Yes, sir.
did I force you to adjust for crossing that line?
I was in the left lane, and then I came to the right now.
Did I force another vehicle to adjust?
I didn't see any vehicle around you
Okay.
at that time of morning.
Any pedestrians, any cyclists?
No, sir.
Okay. Any harm or damage done to persons or property?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, would you say that you maintained a safe traveling distance from my vehicle?
Sure.
Okay. From my perspective, watching that video, it appears as though you maintain a position in the general vicinity of my blind spot. Do you acknowledge that?
I can't really say either way because I'm not the driver of that truck, so I couldn't tell you if that's a case.
But there's a general idea of blind spots. In fact, trucks have bigger blind spots than cars. I was driving a truck, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is it common practice for peace officers to maintain a position in the general vicinity of a driver's blind spot?
There is no such a rule for it or how we do it.
Okay, perfect.
I was in the position just observing your driving pattern.
So if I may, I can say that you were in my blind spot. Are you aware of the impact that maintaining a position in that general area has on a driver?
Could you clarify that? What do you mean by it?
Are you aware of the impact that it can have on a driver that knows he cannot rely exclusively on his mirrors to remain aware of vehicles around him?
Am I aware of it?
You spend a lot of time in a car, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you're driving along and you have to change lanes or just for your own awareness, you don't always just rely on your mirrors, correct?
No, when I'm changing lane, I usually turn around and look to make sure there is no car in my blind side as well.
Okay, and if you have a general awareness of another car who's in that vicinity,
Yes, sir.
then you would probably have to resort to that type of lane check more frequently than you otherwise would, correct?
No, if I'm trying to change my lane, then I'm going to use my signaling, and at that point, I make sure that I'm in a safe, distance of that car, and then change my lane.
So for the video's purposes, you remained in that vicinity of my vehicle based on time and speed for about two-thirds, three-quarters of a mile.
Yes, sir.
You were in that position for much longer than just that amount of time, correct?
Well, when I turned to the south center, I was right behind you, the left lane.
Right.
So, and then I observed you changing lane,
Mhm.
acknowledging that I'm behind you.
Correct.
So
So when you say, go ahead.
then I followed, then shortly after the video starts.
So when you say acknowledging you, do you mean you personally? I mean, because I don't know you, but you personally as a driver, like another person on the road, or a police officer?
I'm not sure what you observed, but I'm assuming you observed a car with the headlights on behind you. That's what I mean by that.
Okay, and so you said once you got behind me, I got over for you.
That appeared to me that you acknowledging that you saw me or you want me to pass or however
And that's
the case was.
that is typically what the left lane is used for, right? Passing?
It is.
Okay, so instead of passing me, you remained in that general position for at least two-thirds of a mile, I'd say, based on what I remember of the evening,
Yes, sir.
at least a mile and a half.
Yes, sir.
And you maintained that position generally
Yes, sir.
the entire time.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That general position, being in my blind spot, is very difficult to I can't see you in my rear view because you're not behind me.
Yes, sir.
And I can't see you in my side view because you're just outside of that area.
Yes, sir.
So in order to make sure that there's still a car there, would it not be unreasonable to know that I have to do this and take my eyes off the road
No, sir.
to
you-
verify that a vehicle is still there?
So if you were changing lane, I'm assuming that's what you're saying, to turn around and look at the car, you would have used your turning signal. Then I would know that you trying to change lane, then I would back off or pass you at some point. But that, I never see any turning signal or anything like this. So you give me a reason to believe that you want to change your lane or any reason for it, so. And there was no car behind me either, so you know.
Right, there were no other cars on the road.
No, sir.
Right. So when I get over for a vehicle that I anticipate to pass,
Yes.
and that vehicle does not pass, would you agree that that is, whether you're a police officer or just another person, would you agree that that kind of, and you maintain that position the whole time, that the driver in my situation would find that to be a bit of a distraction?
I would kind of see where you're coming from. However, day to day, I pretty much drive every shift. So for 10 and a half hours, so I drive a lot. So, and I see that all the time, the cars, next to me. If I don't have to change lane or anything like this, I don't have to look, to make sure that I am clear in order to change lane. So I'm not really worried about my left side. As far as my front is clear and nobody's coming into my lane. So if that's what you're referring to.
No, I'm not actually. I'm simply asking, when a driver gets over into the right lane for a car to pass, and that car maintains a position for about at least 1.5 miles of the general vicinity of the blind spot, that's kind of strange. And so therefore, it would send red flags to the driver in my position and wonder why this car's not passing. Maybe someone was going to carjack me,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yes, I see.
So therefore, that places an added element of focus on this car that I cannot use my mirrors for, forcing an unnecessary distraction. Would you agree?
So I see your point here. Now I understand exactly what you're saying. Yes, and I have this.
Yes is good enough. Thank you. Are you aware that driver's education courses advise against maintaining a position you held in orientation to my vehicle? Okay. For someone who spends as much time on the road as you do, you probably should know, and I hope that you'll take that into consideration in the future when you're driving.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I wouldn't want anything to happen to you
Your Honor, that
or anybody else.
there's improper questioning the defendant was on.
Okay. Are you aware that if a driver maintains a position in the general vicinity of which you remained and it leads to an unsafe situation, that driver could be held liable for the harm done resulting from the unsafe practice?
Objection calls for speculation.
Well, I think you made your point, and I don't view, since there was no issue between the two individuals, I'm not really sure how it's relevant, but I do understand your point, that he wasn't driving in a safe manner. So I understand that, and, but we can move on to the next point now.
Well, it should be noted as well that if I had caused an accident because of where he was, he could be held liable.
Okay.
And that is statute, there's a statute for that.
Okay, I hear your point, but like I said, that's not what happened.
Okay.
So I don't think we need to explore that issue at all.
That's fine. I was wrapping that up anyhow.
All right.
So now moving on to the stop. You are aware, officer, that according to Terry versus Ohio, any investigatory stop requires at least reasonable suspicion that a traffic violation or criminal activity has occurred.
Objection, Your Honor, for formal question.
Yes, were you aware of that?
Okay, so that's a legal, so you're right, wasn't aware, was he aware, but ultimately it's a legal conclusion for me, and there are two ways to stop the vehicle. One is reasonable suspicion, one is probable cause for a traffic citation. So, his understanding of Terry is not really, it's more for me to make that decision based
Okay.
on the facts. His understanding of Terry is always important, but not something we need to go into.
Okay. All right. So then, after stopping me, you handcuffed me, correct? You opened my vehicle door and asked me to get out of my vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have the authority to do that?
Based,
Also a me question.
Oh.
Regardless of what he says, it's gonna be up to me, so it's a objection called, calls for a legal conclusion. Does he have the authority? I mean, you can
Okay.
say, why did you do that?
Okay.
But just so you understand that I'm gonna have to make that decision.
Okay. So why did you open my door?
based on what I observed till then, and
Can you be more specific, please?
yes, the open container, strong alcoholic beverage, odor of alcoholic beverage coming from your breath, bloodshot, watery eyes, your driving pattern, also reaching and having objection about the light and not letting me see, what was going on. Hold on to your registration for my officer's safety. Yes, I opened the door and asked you to step out of the car
Okay.
for all reasons.
So, based on the video, you make no claim of an open container until after you open my door. Are you in agreement?
In the video, I mentioned it after.
After you open the door?
Yes.
Right, so you did not, you admit that you did not observe an open container until after you opened my door.
Testimony.
Overruled. You guys the question.
You answered, correct?
Well,
Are-
wait, I didn't hear it.
Oh,
Okay,
did you acknowledge?
did you see the,
I'm saying that the video shows that he made no note about an open container until after he opened my door. I'm asking him to acknowledge that because one of the reasons he said he opened the door was because he observed an open container.
okay,
When I had my flashlight, can I answer?
yeah.
Yep, when I had my flashlight on, that's one of the things that I observed.
But again, the video shows.
I didn't make any statement of it. Yes, you're correct.
Okay. So are there limitations to when you can order a driver or other occupant out of the vehicle?
What do you mean by limitations?
Are there circumstances where that do not permit you to order a person out of a vehicle?
So if as a traffic officer, I conduct a lot of traffic stops every day, and out of those 20 traffic stops, maybe 19 of them I never ask for a step out of the car. So yes, if I believe there is something more that I need to investigate or any officer safety issues, then I will ask the driver to step out of the car.
So what specifically about what you observed was cause for officer safety?
The fact that when you started digging into the center console of your car right away, and when I turn on the lights in order to help you out, and also I'd be able to see what you're looking into, and you got very argumentative about it and got aggressive. And also based on the fact that I see the impairment clues as far as no bloodshot, watery eyes, odor of alcoholic beverage.
So, but when you asked me to step out of the vehicle,
Yes, sir.
you then told me I need to because you asked.
Yes, sir.
Do you see how that can be confusing?
I asked you, you need to step out of the car.
Well,
And you refused.
you said, because I'm asking you to, you need to do something. If I'm asked to, that's not my understanding of ask. So I'm asking you how someone might be confused with being asked something and then being told they have to do it.
Okay.
So you admit that that's not exactly a direct statement. It's you're calling it an order, but you were asking me, yes?
Yes, sir.
And that's not, again, you can see how one might be confused by those two sentiments. Do you understand? Do you recognize how when you ask me to do something,
Yes, sir.
I have the impression, or anyone might have the impression that they have a choice?
Yes, sir. At no point
Okay.
you asked me that if you have to or that was just a report.
And so when you asked me to get out of the vehicle and you said that I need to, at no point in all the times I asked you why did you cite officer safety. Is that correct?
Not a specific word for it, the officer.
I'm just asking for you to clarify. When you were asking me to get out of the vehicle, you did not say for officer safety.
No, sir.
Okay. And when you shined your flashlight into my truck, did you observe any weapons at that moment?
I didn't know exactly what you were reaching for.
Just please answer the question. When you shined your flashlight into my vehicle compartment, did you observe any weapons? Yes or no?
No.
Okay, that's good. That's fine. And after pulling me out of my vehicle, you immediately placed me in handcuffs. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And I was handcuffed. How long was I handcuffed before you placed me in the back of your cruiser, roughly, if you had to guess? That was a long video.
Yes, sir.
So, any idea how long how much time went by?
Not sure.
Okay, so I'd say it was probably close to an hour. Would you agree?
I can't really say either way, so.
So it was a long time. I think we can agree there. So while I was handcuffed, did you interrogate or otherwise question me about any matters?
I asked you if you were going to conduct a field sobriety exercise.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I asked you if you were going
Okay.
to conduct a field
I'll-
sobriety exercise.
If it's a yes or no question, officer?
So you
if
need
it-
to let me answer the question.
If it's a yes or no question, officer, yes or no is fine.
No.
So I'll repeat. While I was handcuffed, did you interrogate or otherwise question me about any matters?
I asked you for field sobriety exercise.
Is that a yes or a no?
Is it a yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And were you aware that once a suspect is in custodial interrogation, as I was, Miranda is warranted?
Objection calls for legal conclusion.
It does call for a legal conclusion.
Would you say that I was under, custodial interrogation is defined as a reasonable person believing that they are not free to leave.
Objection, the defendant is testifying.
So, I think you could ask, was I free to leave? But again, that's
Okay.
up to you I'm gonna look at everything and make that decision.
So when you put me in handcuffs, I was not free to leave.
No, sir.
Okay, was I free to leave before that?
No, sir.
So at what point, if I was not free to leave, at what point should my rights have been read to me?
When you were detained in handcuffs.
Okay. And you did not administer Miranda.
No, sir.
So let us now turn to your claim that an open container, specifically a Voodoo Ranger IPA, was found in my vehicle. Do you or the state possess that container in court here today?
No, sir.
It's not here.
No.
Right, I know.
Okay.
Do you or the state possess any sample of the liquid allegedly contained therein? Any fluid that was tested or preserved?
No, sir.
Did you submit any remnant of the alleged container or the alleged fluid to a crime lab for a chemical analysis to confirm it was in fact alcoholic?
I did not, sir.
So at this moment, you have absolutely no physical or forensic evidence that the alleged container contained anything other than water, lemonade, or some other benign substance. Is that correct? Yes or no? Do you possess it?
I smell it and
That's not what I'm asking you.
Therefore, I see what kind of liquid.
That's not what I'm asking you, sir.
Based on my experience, it was alcoholic beverage.
Again, that doesn't answer my question. My question is simply, you have no physical evidence that the liquid in there was anything other than water or lemonade or perhaps
Like a toxicology type test? Like a
Correct.
Okay.
anything at all. That you have done no chemical testing to verify the contents of this container.
So a lay person can characterize the smell, which is what I heard.
But we're talking about actual evidence, Your Honor.
And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I
Yes, ma'am.
didn't hear anything about anything else, any other kind of testing,
So if he's referring to
the alcohol.
forensic kind of toxicology result,
On the
no, there
alcohol,
was,
yeah, on that. Like,
No,
did you
there's
take that to
no-
your lab or anything?
no,
like that?
no, ma'am.
Okay. So the only thing that you relied on to determine that it was alcohol was your own.
My experience
observation.
and, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we have no fingerprints from the can. We have no DNA testing from the can. Nothing of that nature.
Not a normal procedure, no.
Okay. And so we watched and you testified to dumping out the remnants of the can, correct?
I did, yes.
And then you discarded the can into the back of my truck, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So under oath, you're testifying that you or Officer Opatz destroyed this alleged fluid by pouring it out onto the ground? Yes or no?
That's a conclusion.
We watched it.
Capacity is destroying it.
Okay. Overruled. You can answer that question.
So in order for me to.
Sir, yes or no?
So, in this case, I'm going to let him explain his answer, because it is the way you sort of asked it. I'm going to let him explain, so, go ahead.
Can I explain?
Yeah. As opposed to a yes or no, you can explain.
Yes, ma'am. So the reason I tilted your can to see how much alcohol was left in the can, also to make sure the fluid in the can was consistent with beer alcohol. Also, I smelled it as well. So, yes, if
And,
that's what you
and
said.
that couldn't have been done at a lab?
That's not a normal procedure for that matter. Yes,
It may not be a normal procedure, but it could have been done at a lab, yes?
I can't tell you because I never done it.
Okay. Anyhow, you are testifying that you got rid of physical evidence correct?
I took a picture of it. So no.
Well, that's not actual evidence. So,
Of the liquid,
right.
okay. All right, so.
And then you threw it in the back of my vehicle.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So you understand that this deprives me as well of the opportunity to have independent chemical lab tests done on it?
Sure.
Okay. So to restate, you, a sworn law enforcement officer, personally destroyed and disposed of a critical piece of evidence associated with criminal charges against me, correct?
I took a picture of it, and in the video it shows that I was testing it, and
How did you test it? You dumped it out and smelled it?
correct.
Okay. Does non-alcoholic beer smell like beer?
Could you repeat the question?
Does non-alcoholic beer smell like beer?
This one says 7% on it, so
Answer the question, please. Does
Does
non-alcoholic
alcoholic
beer smell like beer?
that gave me a reason to believe that was alcoholic beverage based on the smell and the information.
If you could just say yes or no, that'd be great.
Was this alcoholic beverage? It was.
How do you know?
Based on my training experience. That's my observations.
Because the can says something on it, you know that the contents are alcoholic.
And the content that I dumped out and the smell.
And again, non-alcoholic beer, does it smell like beer?
I wouldn't know. I don't know exactly what you're referring. Like non-alcoholic beer smell like beer?
Yep.
It could be.
It could smell like beer?
It could.
Okay. So for all we know, that could have been 0 alcohol beer in that can, regardless of what the can shows on the label. Yes?
Sure.
Okay. So, to take a step back, in your experience, your, almost 8 years of
Yes.
of employment,
Yes. Sir.
you've likely conducted a number of traffic stops, correct?
Yes.
And in that time, you have occasionally encountered suspected controlled substance or other contraband. Is that right?
Yes. Sir.
Okay. Under standard investigative protocols, if you suspect an item is a controlled substance, you typically perform a field test and then submit it to a certified crime lab for independent verification. Is that right?
Depends on the controlled substance.
Yes or no?
Depends on the controlled substance. I
Objection,
guess.
relevance, Your Honor. There weren't any controlled substance charges in this, just the alcohol.
Okay,
But
I'm gonna sustain the objection. There's been no allegation of anything else.
so you've never submitted a can or the alleged contents of a can in the investigation of a DUI or even just an open container charge?
No.
So instead, the consistent practice in your open container cases is simply to discard the liquid, often by pouring it out or having somebody else do it and then discarding the container?
Yes.
So you agree that when dealing with suspected criminal evidence, drugs, weapons, contraband, there is a certain chain of custody requirement to preserve such evidence in its original condition for potential prosecution? Yes?
Sure.
Okay. And you've, again, to repeat, deprived me of the ability to have it tested myself, correct?
Yes.
And you understand that fabricating, tampering with, or destroying material evidence is criminalized in Florida under Section 918.13 of the Florida statutes?
It could be, yes.
So by your own testimony, you claim you discovered physical evidence of a crime, an open container allegedly containing some amount of alcoholic beverage, and then you personally destroyed that evidence.
All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, I understand your point, but there are more than one way to preserve evidence. I understand that your argument is, but that's gonna go to the weight of the evidence at this point, and you made your point.
But the picture is not evidence of anything.
The picture is his testimony of what he took that night. I get that I can't test the liquid, that I don't know if someone poured something out, poured something back in. I don't know if that can is what it purports to be, okay? All it is his preservation of, that's what he took. And so I understand your point, but the fact that it was poured out is not gonna, is not dispositive, meaning it's not going to meet the burden of a concealment or tampering of evidence, okay? Under these circumstances. So I understand your point, but let's move on.
I mean, for all I know, the can was placed there.
And I have picked up on that being your argument, okay? And that's gonna be a factual issue I have to decide based upon the credibility of the witnesses.
Okay. So with respect to officer safety and opening my vehicle door with all the things that he mentioned, he did not observe any weapons. So do I present to you the case of Michigan versus Long that says an officer must possess an articulable and objectively reasonable reason to believe that the suspect is dangerous, is armed and dangerous? Was there anything articulable that you saw when looking in my vehicle that gave you the impression that I could immediately bring harm to you, officer?
Your behavior that night.
That's not, my behavior is my behavior. That doesn't answer my question. Did you see anything objective that I could harm you with?
So your action and your behavior wasn't normal for me to see, therefore that transpired. I don't pull everybody out of their car every time that I stop them, so.
But
Are
that,
you saying at the time, right when he pulled you over and shined the light in your car, or at some other point?
in order for Pennsylvania versus Mims to stand, there has to be an objectively reasonable and articulable reason for asking an occupant out, not just opening my door.
I thought you were referring to like when he shined the light in your car. But
No,
you were
he
talking about
clearly-
okay, got it.
I understand officer safety, and I admitted that to Officer Folavandi
Okay.
when, in retrospect, I totally get officer safety. But in order to have just cause to order someone out of a car, there must be articulable and reasonably objective belief based on facts, like material facts, to order someone out of the vehicle.
Facts, I think what you're saying is, why did you pull me out of the car? What facts were you relying on? Is that what you're trying to get at?
I mean, sort of. He's answering, but he's not answering.
Okay.
You know, he's telling me that my behavior led him to believe that I was a danger, when all I did was ask him about, you know, like I held my hand up and said, "Officer, please," because it's bright. And then he says to me, he's going to do what he wants to do, I'm paraphrasing, and triggers me, and I just don't let go of my registration, and that's the objective reason for believing.
Specifically cite to the actions of the defendant that caused you concern, and that led you to order him out of the vehicle.
Yes and no, ma'am. Also, I wanted to.
No, my question is, describe the specific.
Oh, okay.
nature.
Yes, ma'am.
No, I don't know if I want him to answer that question. If that's okay.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you're getting at, okay? So, maybe I don't understand your question.
So, yes, Pennsylvania versus Mims does give an officer the right to order an occupant or driver out of the vehicle.
Okay. right.
Michigan versus Long says that that's fine so long as the officer has articulable and a reasonably objective belief that the suspect is dangerous.
Right, and you asked him what that was, and he said your behavior. And then you said, that's not enough, just to say my behavior
Because
of X, Y, and Z, this is what I did.
Because my behavior is coming through the subjective lens of his entire existence.
Mm-hmm.
That is not objective.
Okay.
So, did I have weapons in reach that you saw of when you ordered me out of my vehicle, which you also violated my Fourth Amendment right by opening my door before giving me an opportunity to open it myself?
Okay, so the first part, you answered the first part, let's do it one at a time.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I have weapons that you saw of at my disposal when you opened my door and ordered me out of my vehicle?
I didn't see it, but I wasn't sure if you have or you don't.
But you didn't see it. So no, you did not see weapons.
But I wasn't sure.
But you did not see weapons.
No, sir.
And you did not see anything else that I could access that I could cause you harm with.
Did I see it? No.
Right.
I
Okay.
wasn't sure. Also,
Again.
that's not the only reason. If you want to hear the rest of it, I'll
I
explain.
actually don't,
Okay.
because we're talking about articulable
Yes, sir.
and objectively, a reasonably objective belief based on real things,
Yes, sir.
not your perception.
Yes, sir.
So you, again, last time I'll ask, you did not see weapons at my disposal when looking inside my vehicle.
No.
Thank you.
So we're getting close to 4:30. Do you have, how much more do you have to go through?
Well, I was going to motion for a complete dismissal at this point because,
Do you have any more testimony
No.
from him?
No.
Okay. So what happens now is that the state has the opportunity to call him again. Were you going to ask any other questions?
I had some follow-up questions, Your Honor, but
Okay. How long is it going to take you, and does anyone have a conflict to just get that part out of the way?
I have maybe 10 questions. I don't think it'll take very long.
Is everyone okay staying for that, or do we have, if you have an actual conflict, okay, you need to go. Do you need to go and come back?
there's nothing more important to me right now.
Okay, so why don't we, okay, if and you're definitely done, you don't have any other questions for him at this point? Okay, so then I'm gonna let Ms. Eastman do her redirect, and then, I'm gonna hear, well, I'll hear from you, okay?
I just want to clarify, did you see the open container before you opened the defendant's car door?
I did.
In your testimony, or the defendant asked you.
Can I object to that? I mean,
What was-
he can say that he saw it before he opened my door, but the video evidence actually just shows that he did not see it until after he opened my door and then approached me to pull me out.
Okay, so, I'm gonna overrule the objection, but again, all of the testimony and evidence has to be evaluated. So when I evaluate it, that which is admissible, I will take your argument into consideration. Okay, next question.
When you referred, the defendant asked you about referring to a bottle. Was there only one container of alcohol in the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay, so when you refer to a bottle, you're referring to the same can that you saw a photograph of earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
We talked a little bit about how you didn't issue citations for lane violation or wide turn. Officer, are you required to issue a uniform traffic citation for every single violation that you observe while patrolling?
No, ma'am.
Is it within your discretion whether you issue a citation or choose not to?
Yes, ma'am.
And in this case, you chose not to issue citations for lane violation or wide turn, right?
Neither open container. Yes, ma'am.
We talked a little bit about the defendant being distracted by where you might have been driving. He mentioned a blind spot. What vehicle were you driving, if anything?
Police cruiser.
Was it a marked police cruiser?
It was a marked
Does it
police
have
cruiser.
lights on the top?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe it a little bit?
It has like a push bar in front of it and a light bar on top of it, and black mark, it says police Northport with a big badge on it.
Let's move on to when you asked the defendant to step out of the car. Is it standard practice to ask the subject to step out of a car during a DUI investigation?
It is pretty standard to ask them to step out of the car in order to continue with my investigation.
And are field sobriety exercises a part of a DUI investigation?
Yes, ma'am.
And are those generally conducted inside the vehicle or outside?
Outside.
Moving on to, we talked a little bit about you shining your light in the defendant's vehicle. Was it pretty soon after you shined your light in the vehicle that the defendant put his hand up?
Yes, ma'am.
And at that point, did it block your view of what was or was not inside the vehicle?
He just closed the center console fast and then put his hands up.
He also asked you a question about whether you interrogated him after he was outside of the vehicle. You indicate that you were asking him to conduct field sobriety exercises. So were you interrogating him or were you asking him to conduct the field sobriety exercises?
I simply want him to conduct field sobriety
Objection.
exercises.
What's the difference?
I don't know. What is the difference?
It was a question that, I'm trying to clarify the answer he gave to the defendant's question. He said that he interrogated him and his response was he was asked him to conduct the field sobriety exercises.
Okay.
It was a yes or he only allowed him to answer yes or no.
Okay. I understand that we went through that quite a bit, so.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify the yes
Okay.
or no. And then with respect.
So did we get a ruling on that? I'm not certain where that stands.
It already came out, so I don't need to hear it again. So, and I perceived her as withdrawing it because we already went through it. That's what
I'm confused on a lot of levels right now. What is
Okay.
it?
She's gonna withdraw the question.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on to we talked a bit about the contents of the container. You smelled it, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the smell consistent with lemonade?
No.
Was it consistent with water?
No, ma'am.
Did the defendant admit to you that it was an open container?
He acknowledged it, yes.
No further questions.
Okay. All right, so then you're done asking questions with him. I'm gonna let him get up and we'll move to argument unless you have anything you want to, well, are you done with him?
If I could ask a few more questions.
Okay. So, normally it's to follow up what has just been said. I feel like everything Ms. Eastman said, I understood like crystal clear and I understood your positions. It's not like, so is it about what she asked for?
Mhm.
Asked about? Okay, all right, go ahead.
Really, it's a kind of just a single question. You were apparently conducting a DUI investigation, correct?
Yes.
Did you ask me before you pulled me out of the vehicle if I had even been drinking?
So I explained to you if the reason why I'm asking you to step out of the car as well, and you said I had a beer.
Did you ask me if I had been drinking before you opened my car door?
I don't recall, but I asked you another question and you didn't answer it, so.
But that's on the video, right?
Yes.
Everything's on the video,
Yes.
so I can look at that.
Yes, ma'am.
So my whole point is, we're talking about a supposed DUI investigation that I was not made aware of until after Officer Folandi opened my car door and ordered me out.
Okay. All right, so I just want to, there's a point where he has to leave the stand and we move to argument. So
Okay.
I'm gonna, if that was the only question, I'm gonna let him leave. Okay, you can step down. Did you have any other evidence you were gonna present? I know we are gonna come to step two.
So for this portion, Your Honor, no. My only issue would be if we move to, are we moving to step two? I guess that would, if we do, that would be a different day, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we would have to continue this.
Okay,
further.
then I have no more questions for this portion.
Okay,
Or
so
no more
then
evidence.
you are done today. Okay, thank you very much. You can leave. Okay, all right. So then I'm gonna turn to you, Mr. Gardner, and I know the relief that you're requesting is first an outright dismissal.
Based on a complete suppression of evidence over unlawful traffic stop.
Okay. I think that this is gonna be requiring more time for you guys to make argument. I will say, if it helps you all prepare for our next hearing, I wanna share some observations, okay? I'm not making rulings today. Do you need a pen or something?
I don't know where my phone is.
Your phone?
Oh, it's probably right here.
Oh. So I'm not making a ruling, my mind, again, remains open, okay? But if it helps you prepare, this is what I want to tell you is on my mind. Number one, I believe that the driving pattern does establish reasonable suspicion, which is a pretty low threshold, okay? Even weaving within a lane and not crossing the lines can be considered reasonable suspicion to pull over a vehicle. So I'm gonna cite to a couple cases that you can look at. Yanes versus State, 877 Southern 2nd 25. And Bailey versus State, 319 Southern 2nd 22. So it's a pretty low standard for a law enforcement officer to pull over someone if the law enforcement officer sees a driving pattern sufficient to say that it's potentially an ill, impaired, or tired driver.
Are we going to ignore?
So let me finish.
Yes, ma'am.
And again, my telling you this is to help guide you in your preparation for the next, okay? There was not probable cause for the violation. If anyone is interested, there is a case that says traffic does have to be affected. Sometimes it's in the statute, sometimes it doesn't. This is a case out of Duval County, and it's 13 Florida Law Weekly sub 342A. Okay, so there was not probable cause to make a right turn if no other traffic was affected. Okay. So then we move on to, was Mr. Gardner in custody for purposes of Miranda? At this point, I believe that when the officer said, "You're gonna give me whatever I want," just prior to opening the door, something along those lines, that he was in custody for purposes of Miranda. Okay, so I would cite you to State versus McAdams, 193 Southern 3rd, 824.
Can you repeat that, please?
It's State versus McAdams, 193 Southern 3rd, 824. That's from the Florida Supreme Court in 2016. And Yarborough versus Alvarado, 541 US 652. And Ramirez, 739 Southern 2nd.
Can you repeat the Ramirez again?
739 Southern 2nd, 573, but that's a pinpoint citation.
Right.
But it's Ramirez versus State, so you should be able to, I mean, it's a very famous case, I think, out of the Supreme Court. So I am sort of leaning in that direction at this point, but again, I'll wait to hear any argument you have. Okay, so then the next issue relates to, I mean, are you saying, my understanding was you're saying that your violation of Miranda, and once we look at all the statements after that, if it is indeed true that Miranda was required at that point, and then the fact you were pulled out of the car, that's what goes into the analysis of being in custody for purposes of Miranda, okay? So then we look at also whether there was probable cause for the arrest after we look at, obviously, whatever statements might come out. Okay, so let's start there and come prepared for that argument next. I have some possible hearing times available.
So trial will not be May 5th.
Is trial, I thought we postponed trial.
So today is
okay.
also docket sounding. We have
Right.
not.
That's right, it was the docket. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get it done, but we can try. I have, because May 5th is the trial period. I don't have hearing time before May 16th. Is there an opposition to postponing the trial to get through these issues? No? Okay, so let's take it off the trial docket. I have May 16th at 1 o'clock, May 28th at 2:30. Do either of those work for you guys?
What was the second date?
Okay, so May 16th and 28th. So the 16th is a Friday, the 28th is a Wednesday.
And you said 2:30 for the 28th?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Eastman?
We don't have any, yeah, I mean, I would probably reserve another 2 hours at least, maybe. Yeah, 2.5 hours for it at this point.
So what will take place at this hearing, Your Honor?
So, I'm gonna hear arguments from the state about whether they think I'm right or wrong about my initial observations, okay? Then you can present argument. Then we're gonna see, if I am right, what is the effect on the case? Does it lead to a total dismissal from the court? That is a different analysis, okay? You put forward a lot of case law here. And then say that I'm right about Miranda, right? We have to then go through and listen to all your statements to see what was made, what statements you made which were not like spontaneous, okay? So Ms. Eastman was saying when you were in the back of the car, you were making statements that were not necessarily in the form of, like, in answering a question, okay? Most of the things that I just saw were you engaging in the law enforcement officer, and it would appear to meet all the factors that would require suppression, okay? But I would have to go through and parse it out if we ultimately come to the conclusion that you were in custody for purposes of Miranda.
I got you.
Okay, so there's a lot that still has to potentially take place. But, you know, at this point, I'm leaning to suppressing a lot of statements of yours. And so we have to see the effect on that. Okay? All right, do you guys have any questions?
No, Your Honor, so that was May 28th, what time did you set it?
Do you guys want it on May 28th at 2:30? Or do you want it May 16th at 1 o'clock?
I can work with either one.
Oh, yeah.
That's just exhibit one now, right? You do not have to read it.
It has to be videos, so just put only the first two were, well, they're all admitted at this point.
Okay,
That's fine.
but it's just still exhibit one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's fine.
So we have 1 and 3.
What was two? We'll make it 1 and 2, just for clarity purposes. Unless it's a problem.
No, no.
I don't like it when it's a number.
No.
Okay.
Do you have a sleeve?
Do you have a sleeve for that? Okay. So what did we decide?
She's just checking.
Okay.
Can we do May 28th, Your Honor?
That's fine. I'm just gonna leave it 2:30. Okay. So if you want me to review any case law in advance, you can just send me the case law. You don't have to write a memo. You can just send me the citations of authority that you want for me to look at, okay? You can write a memo if you want. And to the state, if there, you know, if you decide after your review of the case law and evidence that you disagree with me, or you believe there's another point at which it was appropriate to characterize the situation as under arrest or in custody for purposes, then let me know when that is, so we can, it'll help me expedite the next hearing. Okay? All right. So I hope you all have a nice